What's up, Space Cadets? Captain Jandor here, bringing you episode number 5 of the Grim Axis Reviews. I'm going to be talking today about Civilization V. This is the latest in a franchise I am a huge fan of. I've been playing the crap out of Civ IV. Some of you may have heard on the Grimcast. Delta and I are big fans, and we were really excited, at least I was very excited to get my hands on the new game, and this is what I have to say. Now, I'm gonna break it down into 5 sections, this review today, 5 sections, that are based on 5 core gameplay elements, and the first one we're going to talk about is exploration. Now, this gameplay element is very important because obviously it allows you to contact other civilizations and find resources and so on. And it hasn't really changed any since Civ IV. The big major boost is that, or difference, is that you can now find things that are called natural wonders. And natural wonders give you a happiness bonus when you discover them. Other than that, pretty much unchanged. So we're going to move right along into empire management. Now, empire management is also, in a lot of core respects, unchanged. You got to manage your cities, you got to manage your workers, you've got to diplomatize with the AI and so on. But there are a couple of major differences. First and foremost, they've gotten rid of individual city health and happiness. And now what you have is a empire-wide happiness number. And the happiness of your empire dictates 2 things. For every positive happy face you have, you get 1 point per turn towards a golden age. And golden age is effectively double tile yield, so they're huge. The other thing it does is it limits growth. When you go into unhappiness, you start gaining penalties or acquiring penalties on how much food you're earning in every one of your cities, which really slows the growth of those cities down. And since population determines practically everything in the empire now, that's a big deal. The other big changes are obviously in diplomacy, where you no longer have, there's no more religions, which is obviously a big change. The AI now, there's no way to track how they feel about you. There's no number. There's no attitude whenever you click on the AI and to talk to them where you can understand sort of how they feel about you. You've got to go by body language and what they say to you, which is kind of an interesting change, but is a little bit of an adjustment when you're used to having the numbers right there. Next thing on the line is, of course, science, which is another major facet of the empire management, but, it's enough its own thing to warrant its own conversation. Science is also now based entirely upon population. They got rid of commerce as a concept pretty much entirely. So instead of having sliders for all of your major civilization elements, your science, your money, and your culture, and espionage in Civ IV Beyond the Sword, you have individual, they got rid of espionage entirely, and now culture and money and science are their own individual numbers. So science is based on population. You have certain buildings that can boost it. And the bigger your empire is and the more people there are in it, the more science you earn per turn. You can also have great scientists spawn in your cities if you're specializing science guys in libraries and other stuff. And great scientists now have the ability to immediately research any technology you have open or available to you to research. This is kind of a huge change because it works all the way through to the end of the modern era and the future era, as opposed to having way diminishing returns as you go along. And it's not limited by specific types. Like scientists can research anything now, which is kind of a cool shift and is definitely a big change towards your science. The other huge difference is that you no longer can trade technologies with the AI at all. There is no more tech trading. The only thing you can do is enter into a research agreement, and a research agreement costs both parties the same amount of gold, and 30 or 40 turns or however it is later, both AIs get a random technology, or both parties, you and the AI, get a random technology from any of the ones you currently have available to research. So it's a very random and not terribly immediate method of gaining additional technologies. I don't know if I like it that much. I never liked blind research as an idea. It's sort of one of the core fundamental aspects of gameplay in a turn-based strategy game is how you're advancing along the tech path. And if it's random, you can't really, what's the point? So that's sort of the big change with the science. And then since we were talking about commerce and how it's gone, obviously that has an effect on the economy. So economy. The big ways you earn gold now are trade routes, but trade routes are only internal. It's only in your own civilization. There's no foreign trade routes, which is kind of odd, I thought. I like the foreign trade route concept in Civ IV. The only way to get trade routes is by connecting cities to your capital through roads. And since every road costs a gold per turn per hex of road, that can get very expensive. The amount of money you're getting from trade routes increases with population. So if your cities are getting more and more populous, you should be earning more and more money through trade routes. You can also build harbors and connect coastal cities that have harbors in them as a trade route that way, which can be a little cheaper, but which can sometimes take forever to do because building buildings in Civ 5 takes a very, very, very long time, like an obnoxiously long time. Other than that, building trading posts is the only way to increase the tile yield of gold, and it doesn't increase as you go through the game unlike cottages did. It's a flat 2 gold per turn per tile worked that has a trading post on it. Certain luxury resources also provide gold, like silver and gold provide additional gold per turn. Some buildings increase this, banks, markets, etc. And thankfully those buildings are maintenance free and they kind of give you a percentage increase on the gold your cities earn every turn. But if your cities aren't earning all that much gold to begin with, it doesn't really help matters. Yeah. Now the thing is, in Civ 5, gold is very, very important because you can buy anything. From the start of the game all the way to the end of the game, anything you have available to you, be it a building, not including wonders, or a unit, is purchasable. Automatically. Like what you can do is you go, I'm going to spend 300 gold and I get a worker this turn, and next turn it can start moving. This allows you to rapidly expand or to rapidly gain units for war, to rapidly increase the effectiveness of the city, but buildings are very, very expensive. Units are very, very expensive, and they just keep increasing in expense as you go along. So managing your empire's gold income is very important. And trading with the AI is a great way to increase your gold income because you can trade off unused luxury or strategic resources for gold in lump sums or in gold per turn, or for resources from the AI, which you can then turn around and trade, etc. Next big thing we're going to be talking about, of course, the last big thing, is war. War has probably gotten the biggest facelift because they've sort of tried to make tactical combat a major part of civilization. There are 2 ways they did this. They moved to a hex-based system. Well, 3 ways. A hex-based system, so you have different movement styles and you can get flanking bonuses and other stuff now, which is kind of cool. You can only ever have 1 unit per tile, and ranged units actually can fire at range. So if you can stack ranged units behind a wall of like infantry, you can pepper enemy forces while your infantry charge in and finish them. Unfortunately, the AI is very, very bad at war, and if you're teching at the right path, you just spam mounted units before they have a chance to mount proper resistance and steamroll them from like throughout the entire game. It's kind of boring to some extent. I mean, the war itself is fun. Like, it's cool to be able to move around and to move up on units and to be pounding cities and to have a good, like all that stuff. And steamrolling AI can be fun. But from what I've been reading online and from my experiences, the AI just isn't very good at war, and it hasn't ever been very good at war. And making war more tactical only makes that natural tendency to be bad at that aspect of gameplay worse. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with the final verdict. There's a couple of things I need to mention before I go into exactly what I think you should do with this game. 1, city-states. This is a new thing that they introduced. City-states are individual cities that never grow beyond 1 city. There's usually a set number of them based on the size of the map. And they all have individual traits, personalities, and they give you bonuses if you ally with them. It's really easy to ally with city-states, especially towards the late game when you can trade for lots of money in lump sums and then buy allies. Like your city-states, you can just buy them as allies. The patronage tree of cultural stuff is a great way to keep city-states, and they are crucial to sort of mastering the game to some extent. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. They just seem very exploitable as opposed to being all that dynamically interesting. And you can do favors for city-states, which is a really nice concept to gain favor with them. But the favors they ask of you are generally kill this other city-state, which is never a good idea. It's never a good idea to take over city-states because then they can't give you shit, and then they all get mad at you. Whenever you declare war on a city-state, the other city-states get mad at you. The other thing is that the other options they present to you are things like build a road to me, which just costs me money, or gift me units, but it takes so many units, and units take so goddamn long to build that I never want to do that. So they just feel kind of like most of this game, it feels sort of unfinished, like a really cool idea that was never manifested in a way that was all that awesome. Diplomacy feels like that, war feels like that, city-states feel like that, global happiness feels like that. Practically everything in this game can be summed up as lots of really awesome ideas, not executed very well. So that's going to wrap things up. I mean, my final verdict basically is don't buy this yet. If you want to spend $50 on a Civ game and you don't already own Civ IV Complete, buy that instead. It's less money and it's better and you get more stuff with it. Anyway, going to wrap things up now, and I will catch you later, Space Cadets. The other thing about city-states, they make winning diplomatic victories really easy because you just bribe vote.